the shadow in the gears. The rain was beating mercilessly against the windows of my antique restoration shop when the delivery truck arrived. It was 11:45 p.m. I wasn't expecting any packages, let alone a 7-foot tall wooden crate. The delivery driver didn't say a word. He just handed me a clipboard, waited for my signature, and left the crate on my porch, disappearing into the torrential downpour. Curiosity got the better of me. I dragged the heavy crate inside, crowbarred the wooden planks open, and stepped back in awe. Inside was a magnificent 19th century grandfathered clock. It was made of dark, almost black mahogany wood, adorned with intricate carvings of weeping angels. But the strangest part, it had no pendulum. Instead, the center held a complex interlocking web of brass gears that moved silently, even though the clock wasn't wound. I touched the cold glass of the clock face. Suddenly, the silent gears stopped. Tick, tock. A heavy, unnatural chill filled the room. My breath turned into white mist. I checked the time. It was exactly midnight. That was when I heard it, a faint, raspy whisper coming from inside the wooden casing of the clock. It wasn't saying random words. It was whispering my name. Ethan, you let us out. I stumbled backward, tripping over my tools. As I looked up from the floor, I froze. The hands of the clock were spinning backward at an impossible speed, and the shadows on my wall began to stretch, bending toward the machine like they were being sucked into the gears. By the second day, I realized I couldn't get rid of the clock. I tried to drag it back outside, but it felt as if it were welded to the floorboards. I tried covering it with a tarp, but by nightfall, the tarp would be neatly folded on the floor next to it. I spent hours researching its origins. Deep in an online archive of local history, I found a matching photograph from 1892. The clock had belonged to Dr. Alistair Vance, a notorious psychiatrist who ran an asylum that burned down under mysterious circumstances. Dr. Vance believed that human souls could be captured at the exact moment of death through sound frequencies. He had built a clock to record the last gasps of his dying patients. That night, the clock didn't just whisper, it screamed. At 3 a.m., a metallic chime echoed through my house. It was followed by the sound of dozens of overlapping voices, crying, begging, and laughing hysterically. The brass gears inside the clock began to grind violently, oozing a thick, foul-smelling black liquid that looked like old blood. Panicking, I grabbed the hammer and slammed it against the glass face of the clock. The glass shattered, but the hammer didn't hit empty air. It hit something soft, something fleshy. I looked through the broken glass. Moving within the sharp, rotating brass gears were not springs or screws. They were human fingers, broken bones, and a single, unblinking human eye staring directly at me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text message from an unknown number. I opened it, and my heart stopped. It was a live video feed of my own bedroom upstairs. The camera zoomed in on my bed, where a dark, distorted silhouette was sitting, waiting for me. The air in the shop grew so thick I could barely breathe. I had to face whoever was upstairs, armed with only a flashlight and my grandfather's old iron poker. I slowly climbed the creaking wooden stairs. Every step felt like walking through deep water. The whispers from the clock downstairs grew louder, echoing through the floorboards, chanting a countdown. 5, 4, 3. I reached my bedroom door. It was slightly ajar. I pushed it open and shone the flashlight onto the bed. There was no monster. There was no ghost. Sitting on the edge of the bed was me. It looked exactly like me, wearing the same clothes, but his skin was pale gray, and his eyes were completely hollow, empty black sockets. The entity looked up, gave me a sickening, wide grin that stretched past his cheeks, and spoke in my own voice. Thank you for completing the cycle, Ethan. The clock always needs a new craftsman. Downstairs, the clock struck the final countdown. 1. A blinding pain shot through my chest. I fell to my knees, gasping for air. I looked down at my hands and watched in horror as my skin began to harden, turning into dark, polished mahogany wood. My fingers snapped and elongated, morphing into sharp, metallic brass gears. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My voice had already been stolen, trapped inside the machine downstairs. The entity, the thing that looked like me, stood up, walked past my collapsing wooden body, and casually went downstairs. I heard the front door open and close. It was gone, living my life. Now I sit here in the dark, trapped behind the glass face. If you ever buy an antique grandfather clock that whispers your name, please don't wind it, because I am trapped in the gears, and I am so hungry.